Today I'm going to talk about the FN Five-seveN. The FN Five-seveN is a semi-automatic pistol that is manufactured by FN Herstal in Belgium. The Five-seveN fires a 5.7 by 28 millimeter cartridge that is bottlenecked in design, meaning that the case tapers down at the top instead of staying straight. Now the pistol was developed in conjunction with the P90, and P90 is basically what amounts to a submachine gun that fires the same ammunition. Both of them share a lot of features. They're both polymer type weapons with large magazine capacities, and they're both very lightweight. The Five-seveN is currently used by military and police organizations in over 40 countries, including the United States, and the Secret Service reportedly uses the Five-seveN as well. In 1989, NATO requested an update to the 9 by 19 millimeter parabellum cartridge that is kind of the standard for NATO. They wanted four things. The first is that they wanted the bullet that the weapon fires to have greater performance, both in terms of range and terminal performance, than the 9 millimeter. And they also wanted it to be able to penetrate certain types of body armor. The shoulder-fired personal defense weapon was supposed to have a magazine capacity of at least 20 and weigh less than 6.6 pounds. The companion pistol was supposed to have a magazine capacity of 20 rounds and weigh less than 2.2 pounds. Finally, they wanted both of the weapons to be able to be carried on the person at all times. They needed to be compact, so whether you're in the cockpit of an aircraft or some other thing, you were supposed to be able to have them with you. And they need to be able to function in all kinds of different environments. They were both designed with the intended use of personal protection in last resort situations when you are threatened by the enemy. So FN designed the P90 and it came out in 1990. The Five-seveN pistol was released in 1998 and first saw service in 2000. And it was actually the Greeks that first used it. They ordered 250 of them. There was a competitor cartridge to the FN cartridge, and it was the HK, and I think it's 4.6 by 30 millimeters. And they tested them, and all the different member nations of NATO tested them and decided that the Five-seveN was the better cartridge, but Germany blocked the adaptation of the cartridge, and it's basically been tabled since then. Now in the United States, these first became available to civilians in 2004, and they are pretty much at the top of everyone's list who wants to ban certain types of weapons. I bet if you asked any of the people who are anti-weapon if they could ban 5 pistols, this would definitely be in the top 5. And it's a very compact, concealable, full-sized auto with a 20 round capacity. There are a bunch of different carry options. Galco makes a shoulder rig that's pretty nice if you want to carry it that way, and it also has room for the extra 2 magazines that come with the pistol. Fully loaded, the Five-seveN comes in at 1 pound 12 1/8 ounce, and compare that to the Beretta M9, which fully loaded comes in at 2 pounds 7 and a little bit over a half ounce. Now, while this is a bad gun, defined by various things, that, you know, one thing is that it looks scary. Another thing that is that it's in a bunch of video games and things like that, and movies, and it's kind of, you know, one of those cool bad guy guns. The other thing is it's got a high capacity magazine. So this is a bad gun, but I can tell you that my particular firearm has been loaded for just about a year now, and it's never gotten up and shot anyone, so I think maybe I got one of the good ones. Now I'll just go over some of the features. The weapon has ambidextrous safety, and you can tell that the safety is off when you see the red dot on either side of the weapon. It has a magazine release that is also ambidextrous, and it comes with a tool that you can use to switch it from the default right hand to left hand. And I really like it when manufacturers make it so that your firearm is ambidextrous and you don't have to do a lot of extra monkey business, like adding special magazine releases and safeties. Although I don't rely on it, there is a chamber loaded indicator right here that gives both a visual and tactile indication as to whether your chamber is loaded. I prefer to verify myself every time I pick up a gun that the chamber is empty, and this one is empty. The pistol can only be fired with the magazine in. It is off safe. You cannot fire the weapon or drop the hammer unless there's a magazine in there. It's very easy to take apart. There's a little lever right here, and with the left hand you just, or with the right hand you pull back on the slide, and with the left you pull that lever back and it comes apart really easily. Now if you look at the outside of this, it looks like the entire gun is polymer based, but the slide on the inside, the barrel, trigger, and various other components, the moving parts basically are all metal. But it looks like, for all the intents and purposes, it looks like a fully polymer gun. And one of the reported things that is nice about having it that way is that there's no glare off of metal if it's like this. My particular model came with a underside rail that you can attach different things to. A neat feature is the trigger guard is elongated to make it easier to fire with gloves on, and it's the square design, so a lot of people like to have a grip where they control the front of the trigger guard. And there's jimping. The overall length is 8.2 inches, the overall height is 5.4 inches. The grip angle, so the angle that the grip makes with the barrel, is identical to the Browning high power and also to the 1911, so it'll feel pretty comfortable to people that are used to that particular grip angle. The distance from the trigger, the back of the trigger guard to the back of the grip is 2.75 inches, and that's identical to the M9. The barrel is 4.8 inches with a right hand twist and 8 riflings. It reportedly has a service life of 20,000 rounds. The trigger pull is fairly light. I have not measured it on mine, but I can tell you that it's really a pretty light trigger pull. The ammunition itself, again, it's a bottlenecked cartridge, and it weighs in at about 6 grams per round, which is half what a 9mm round weighs. Loading the magazine is fairly easy. In a lot of magazines you have to press down and then press back. In these you just put it on top and press down and it pops right in there. And I think the M16 has a similar magazine design where all you have to do is press down. You don't have to press down and then back. So it's easy to load. The other thing to think about is because the ammunition weighs half as much, you can carry a lot of extra ammunition without much burden. The mechanism of action is it's a delayed blowback, and it's a single action only pistol. The sights on these, when I bought mine, there were 2 different kinds of sights you could get. You could get an adjustable sight, which is what I ended up buying, and you can get some night sights, but those were not adjustable. The recoil on this is reported at 30% less than a 9mm, and I would have to agree the recoil is very slight. It's a very controllable pistol, and I was able to get very accurate with this in a very short amount of time. It's a high velocity cartridge, and I think that must have something to do with it because it's very, very flat shooting. Lots and lots of studies have been done on the ammunition, and you can certainly, look that up for yourself. Just remember that the ammunition that we have access to as civilians in the United States is way tuned down from the ammunition that this was originally designed for. The original ammunition, the specs on it are just crazy. It'll penetrate body armor, supposedly 2 stacked level 2 Kevlar vests at a range of 55 yards, and it'll penetrate a PASGT helmet at 262 yards. That's with the original ammo, which comes out of the barrel at 2,163 feet per second. There are some other purported advantages of the this particular round over the 9mm. One is that supposedly there's less risk of collateral damage because the bullets don't over-penetrate as much, and they also are designed not to ricochet as much. Additionally, this round loses a lot of its kinetic energy as it gets downrange, whereas the 9mm carries it a lot further. But because of what this was designed for, which is a kind of a last resort personal defense weapon, that was seen as advantageous. The 5.7 comes with 3 20-round magazines. You can buy aftermarket ones that extend a little bit beyond the grip that will hold 30 rounds. And different companies make different accessories like extended threaded barrels that you could use for various nefarious activities. And there are different things that let you shoot around corners and ways to turn it into a shoulder mounted thing, but I don't have any of those to show you. So here are just a few thoughts about this particular weapon. I don't know what you're going to use it for, so I can't tell you whether it's good for you or not. But here are some things about it that I like. Number one, it's extremely accurate. It took me very little time to get very accurate with this weapon. It's really easy to operate, to take apart. You know, the safety, ambidextrous safety, ambidextrous magazine release. The magazine is easy to load. It's also very, very lightweight. For what you are getting, you're getting 20 round magazine plus one in the chamber, and it weighs less than other full-sized autos. The main drawback that I see to these is the ammo. There are a few places that are making this ammo. I know FN makes it. All of the ammo that I have is manufactured by FN. There's a company in the United States called EA that makes ammunition, and I think I read somewhere that they're starting to release this ammo to be made by other companies. But right now, it's January 1st, 2013, it is still very, very difficult to get this ammunition. And that, in my mind, limits its usefulness as you know, a gun that you're going to rely on, or a, you know, like a go-to-war gun or something. Additionally, because it is sexy, it's been put into all sorts of video games and movies, and this gun is always going to have targets on its back, and they're always going to be trying to ban it, and sooner or later they're going to be successful. Because of the demand for these, they're also very expensive. If you can find one of these for $1,000, you did very, very well. I will say that although the ammo that we get is significantly tuned down from what was designed to be fired through these, if you are a hand loader, there's a lot of information out there on the internet as to how to hand load this to the correct specifications. I do not currently hand load, but I am saving all my brass in case this ammo becomes very much more difficult to get. The final thing I would say is that although I was able to find a shoulder rig by Galco, and also I think I have a hip mounted holster that's made by, I think Blackhawk makes that. It's like the Serpa or something. You can find them, but they're hard to get. I think I had to wait forever for that Galco, and I had to wait a long time for the Blackhawk as well. And it's just not all that common of a gun, so you're going to run into problems. And like I said, the ammo is a problem. You can find accessories, but for me, living in the middle of nowhere, it's somewhat difficult. You might do better finding a firearm that has more commonly available ammunition and is more commonly in circulation. So those are a few of the drawbacks of the guns. I have it, and it's not going anywhere. It is what it is.